with another edition of Senior Agent Podcast brought to you by MedicareAgentTraining.com. Last week I was asked the question by an agent, should they continue cold calling during a particular given day until they make a sale, or until they get somebody that's a live one on the phone, or until they make 2 sales, or whatever the result may be. So my answer to the question was something that I learned from someone named Jim Rohn, a very famous, very successful sales trainer over the years. Answering the question again, should you focus on the activity that gets the result, or as an agent focus on the result itself? In other words, when you plant yourself down in the chair, and let's say you're on a predictive dialer, so you're calling people, calling, should you not leave that chair until you make a sale that day? It sounds good in theory. However, what I found is that stress, the definition of stress is things that are beyond your control. And when you can't change something that's beyond your control, which is the result, that's what generates stress in your business, and that's what causes people to fail. The only reason you can fail in this business, by the way, is if you quit. That's the only reason you can fail. Because as Jim Rohn points out, one of my favorite sales trainers, when you start off, if you're talking to 100 people, you may get 1. And then as you get better, when you talk to the next 80 people, you may get 1. Then it may only take you 50 to get 1. Then it may only take you 20 to get 1. It gets better and better the longer that you're in. But you can focus on one thing. That is your activity. You have no control over the result. Well, that's slightly misleading. Like I said, your results will get better over time, but as you're starting off, if you want to eliminate the stress, all you need to do is focus 100% and solely on the activity that gets there. So many people are always torn. Well, I know that I've got to get results to put food on the table. I know I've got to get results to stay in business altogether. That will come. It absolutely will. What you should really focus on is the activity, because what we found is activity equals results. It's the activity that must come before the results. As a matter of fact, the results will never come without the amount of activity. Nothing will happen without that activity. Now, your activity may be different from other people. It may be mailing enough direct mail leads and then contacting those people in person. It may be cold calling and knocking on enough doors. Those 2 things work. But in our situation, what most of our agents do, they're either cold calling or they're buying internet leads. They're always initiating contact over the phone. So it's very easy to measure what your activity is. So as we look towards activity or results, I'm reminded of a famous quote from Albert Einstein, the famous theoretical physicist, who said, "People love chopping wood. In this activity, one immediately sees results." That's why people love chopping wood, because they slap that thing and they immediately get a result. But it takes a higher level of functioning to realize that it takes more of an investment in activity to reap the really, really big result. And then Jack Warner's famous quote, "It's funny, the harder that I work, the more successful I become." And so to answer the question, should you focus on not getting out of your chair, not ending your day, not ending your week until you get 1 more sale? I'm going to answer that no. You shouldn't work that way. You're going to stress yourself out. The only thing you should focus on is activity. Jim Rohn said something that I love. He says, "Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day." Let me repeat that. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Here's the flip side. While failure is simply a few errors repeated every day. That's like deciding to get up and go to a movie, or deciding to get up and go get more coffee, instead of focusing on the set block of time that you've told yourself, you've committed to yourself, you've disciplined yourself to do at that point in time every single day. He goes on, "It is the accumulative weight of our disciplines and our judgments that leads us either to fortune or failure." The accumulative weight of our disciplines and our judgments. So again, he's talking about it's just a very few simple disciplines. And in our business, when we're working with and helping seniors, we've got to put ourselves out there consistently. It's the consistency of the activity that's going to get the results. And again, it gets easier and it gets easier and it gets easier. Another famous quote from Jim Rohn says, "Success is neither magical nor mysterious. Success is the natural consequence, which means it's a natural law. It's going to happen, of consistently applying the basic fundamentals." Does it work? Yes, it absolutely works. And you can't quit until you get the result in your business. But on a daily, on a micro, on a minute by minute level, all you need to focus on is the activity. That's the discipline that's going to get the result. The activity is going to get the result. So when I say don't quit until, I'm saying don't quit until the activity is accomplished for the day. Now, in a recent webinar, we did an interview with Joe in Florida. It was on October the 29th, 2014, for those that want to go look it up. And this webinar is found over at MedicareAgentTraining.com. And in this interview, we were speaking with Joe, who spends 4 hours a day consistently on a predictive dialer, just talking to people, just seeing if there's an opportunity to help them. Now, the key to his success is consistent action for 4 hours a day. And he says the biggest challenge in his business and getting going is not the leads. It's not the seniors, what they say. It's not the lack of companies to write them with. It's not the lack of opportunities in the country to write. None of that. The biggest challenge for him personally as an agent is to consistently stay active every day for 4 hours. But once that consistency turns into a habit, then all that happens is your numbers start going up. It's magical. No, it's logical. It's a natural law. Consistent action produces the result. And then Joe talked about following up with those people, because not everybody can do a one-call close. But what I meant in that follow-up to that interview, in that webinar, was this. Your goal in that conversation is to help the person. So as we're talking about what you're doing during that activity, the goal should be to get them to a new plan if it's in their best interest, which it usually is, because that's why we're in this business. So when you can identify if you can help the person or not, that's when you've done your job. Your job is not to put something in the mail to them, to email them over a quote, as if that's the terminal end velocity, that's the end result, that's what you're shooting for, and then they have to come and find you to kick you to get you in gear to actually write their business. No, the goal is to see if you can help them or not. And once they've made a decision, then you've done your job. And you can follow up. You can be persistent but not annoying. But my goal in that webinar was to get people to understand the goal is not just to put a packet in the mail. It feels good that you're doing some kind of level of activity, but that's not activity. That's just busy work. That's getting you off of the pedestal where you have to put up or shut up. You have to say, look, let's make a decision today. And the best way I think to do that when you're doing our specific business of Medicare, when you're doing the supplements over the phone, is to get them on a screen share, see if they've got email, and then show them what's out there. Use the credibility of all the carriers, the quote engines, show them the PowerPoint showing who you are, show them your credibility, all the stuff that we go through over at MedicareAgentTraining.com. Build up the rapport enough that when you lay out what the bottom line quote is and that they should save money, to you and me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, if they're getting Plan F somewhere else for $80 a month more, why are they paying more? Because it's exactly the same thing. But you have to communicate that effectively to them to lead them to a decision. And how do you do that? I think the best way, I know for a fact the best way, because it tripled my closing ratio, is get them on the screen share with you. And they'll say the same thing every time. Oh, I'm not good on a computer. I can't do computers very well. Understand that. That's going to happen. And you need to instantly fire back with, that's okay. I'm going to do all the work. Isn't that the neat part? All you have to do is put your feet up or get a cup of coffee. I'm going to show you right on your screen so that you don't have to do anything at all. Nothing. Can you get an email? Great. That's all you have to do. And that little thing right there, getting them on the screen, then puts you in their living room or puts you in their business table where they're doing their decisions for business and lays out the case for them logically and then emotionally, if you do a good job, separating you from the agent who completely forgot about them and left them to rot on the vine with these higher and higher spiral of rates. and you put the logic and the emotion together, and then they want to take action. But don't stop that activity until you've gone all the way to drive them to an opportunity to make a decision. That's the goal. So it's not just having conversations and then putting packets of information in the mail or saying, I will send you a quote. We're not in the quote business, and we certainly should not support the Postal Service to the extent that that's our only goal in this business. No, our goal is to lead people to a natural opportunity to make a decision. And as long as you consistently do that, you cannot fail in this business. Consistent action, giving people an opportunity and all the information that they need to make a logical decision. For more information on this, visit us at MedicareAgentTraining.com. This has been another edition of Senior Agent Podcast. If you like this, please share it, post about it on Facebook, let somebody know, like it over at iTunes. I appreciate you listening. Have a great day. I'm Christopher Westfall. If I can help you, let me know. Bye-bye.